The historic Strait of Hormuz has now become a graveyard of strategy. More than 120 Iranian warships and boats have already been destroyed, yet nearly 95% of traffic through the world's most critical energy corridor remains frozen. Billion-dollar destroyers, stealth fighters, and missiles costing over $5 million per shot had failed to reopen a shipping lane just 6 nautical miles wide, choked by swarms of fast attack craft and hidden sea mines. To break a blockade worth tens of billions in stranded oil every week, the United States did something that defied modern military fashion. It reached back to a 50-year-old Cold War machine designed to kill Soviet tanks, the A-10 Warthog, and paired it with the AH-64 Apache, then sent them to hunt at sea. The geometry of the problem was unforgiving. On paper, the Strait of Hormuz is about 21 nautical miles across, but only a narrow 6-mile corridor is actually used for shipping. 2 miles inbound, 2 miles outbound, and a 2-mile buffer between them. Everything outside that is essentially under Iranian control, a space filled with more than 3,000 civilian vessels, where Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy hides over 1,500 fast attack boats, many made of fiberglass or composites, some under 15 tons, and capable of speeds of 50 to 70 knots, with certain designs reportedly exceeding 100 knots. These small craft are cheap, ranging roughly from $50,000 to $500,000, yet they can carry anti-ship missiles like the Nazer one with a range of about 35 kilometers and enough explosive power to cripple a frigate. Iran's strategy is simple, but very effective. Instead of sending out 1 or 2 boats, they launch many at once, sometimes 20 to 50, from different directions. These boats mix in with normal fishing boats and other civilian vessels, making it hard to tell which ones are dangerous. At the same time, mines are placed in the water, some that explode when a ship passes over them, others that react to the metal of a ship, and some that can be controlled from a distance. All of this creates confusion and danger, forcing the U.S. Navy to track hundreds of possible threats at the same time. Even after the United States destroyed many of Iran's larger ships and important naval equipment, the Strait was still not safe. Thousands of ships remained stuck, waiting. The real problem was not just the number of threats, but the cost of dealing with them. The U.S. Navy was using extremely expensive weapons to destroy very cheap targets. For example, a missile that costs over $5 million might be used to destroy a boat worth only $50,000. Over time, this kind of exchange favors Iran, because it forces the United States to spend far more money. Iran had created a situation where the United States was using the wrong tools for the job. It was like bringing heavy, expensive equipment to fight something small, fast, and everywhere at once. The Strait became a trap, not because Iran had stronger weapons, but because it used smarter tactics for that environment. So the United States changed its approach. Instead of relying only on modern high-speed jets and expensive missiles, it brought in something older but more suitable: the A-10 Warthog and the AH-64 Apache helicopter. These were not new or flashy machines. In fact, the A-10 was designed many decades ago during the Cold War, but it turned out to be exactly what was needed. The A-10 Warthog is literally built around its heart, the GAU-8/A Avenger, a 7-barrel 30mm Gatling cannon. The gun fires at roughly 3,900 rounds per minute, about 65 rounds every second, and the aircraft carries around 1,150 rounds in a drum almost the size of a compact car. A 2-second burst sends approximately 130 rounds toward a target, many of them armor-piercing depleted uranium shells that cost around $137 apiece. When those rounds hit a fiberglass fast boat, they tear through the hull and engine with horrifying efficiency. Instead of expending a multi-million-dollar missile, an A-10 might destroy a $50,000 boat with under $10,000 in ammunition, flipping the economic equation from Iran's favor to a 500-to-1 advantage the United States. Beyond the gun, the A-10 can carry up to about 16,000 pounds of ordnance on 11 hardpoints, AGM-65 Maverick missiles with roughly 12 nautical miles of range, and a price tag around $150,000 to $170,000 each, and APS kits that transform cheap, unguided Hydra 70 rockets into precision weapons for around $35,000 per shot. What made the A-10 seem obsolete in high-end air combat turned out to be its superpower in Hormuz. Its maximum speed is about Mach 0.75, but in the Strait, it patrols at roughly 300 knots at low altitude, which becomes a tactical asset instead of a weakness. A fast jet darting across the corridor at more than 500 knots glimpses each vessel for a couple of seconds. The A-10's slower pace grants the pilot 2 to 3 times more viewing time. enough to pick out missile launchers on a boat's gunnels, recognize IRGC paint schemes, and distinguish hostile craft from ordinary fishermen. Its straight, unswept wings generate strong lift at low speed, enhancing fuel efficiency and loiter time, and allow tight turns inside the 6-mile corridor, so the aircraft can bank sharply and stay inside the engagement zone. Those wings, combined with the A-10's rugged construction, create a remarkably stable gun platform. When the pilot lines up a strafing run, the nose hardly wobbles, and the 30mm stream chews a continuous line across hull, deck, or shoreline emplacements. The recoil of the GAU-8 is extraordinary, on the order of 10,000 pounds of force at full rate, comparable to the thrust from one of the Warthog's 2 TF-34 engines, so much that the aircraft physically slows down when firing, a testament to the kinetic energy it is throwing forward. This machine is also famously hard to kill. The pilot and critical systems sit inside a titanium bathtub, weighing over 12,000 pounds, engineered to resist 23mm armor-piercing rounds and 57mm fragmentation. Combat history includes A-10s limping home with hundreds of holes, missing control surfaces, and all hydraulics gone, saved by manual reversion flight controls that let pilots muscle the aircraft back to base. In the Strait of Hormuz, this is not just lore. The airspace is thick with 12.7mm and 14.5mm heavy machine gun fire from boats and coastal positions. A modern fighter avoids this threat by staying high, but then loses the ability to identify small targets in the clutter. The A-10 is built to do the opposite: fly into the teeth of that fire, absorb punishment, and keep firing its cannon until the target disappears beneath foaming water. The Warthog has attacked ships before. In 2011, it destroyed patrol boats and small craft off Libya. And in 2023, the United States deployed A-10 patrols to the Strait of Hormuz after Iranian harassment of commercial vessels. In early 2026, A-10s exercised with a coastal combat ship in the region, rehearsing exactly the kind of close support maritime interdiction now being executed in war. Under operations such as Epic Fury, in March 2026, A-10s orbit the 6-mile corridor, sometimes loitering up to 2.5 hours with external fuel tanks, waiting for any sign of Iranian movement. When a fast boat slips out from a cave or a missile truck emerges from a tunnel, the Warthog dives in, cutting lightly armored boats in half with GAU-8 fire and using Mavericks or APKWS rockets to smash launchers before they can melt back into the hillside. The surface of the strait is now scattered with wrecked hulls and burnt-out craft, the result of concentrated cannon runs and precision strikes. Over this 6-mile-wide ribbon of water, 3 branches of the U.S. military have woven an unusually tight combined arms net. At the top of this localized hierarchy, A-10s from the Air Force patrol at a few thousand feet, scanning for fast boats, missile positions, and suspicious movements, ready to engage with cannon bursts, APKWS rockets, or Mavericks. Closer to the surface, Army AH-64 Apaches fly from ships and sea bases as heavily armed predators, using Hellfires and 30mm fire to kill whatever slips through the Warthog's grasp. Beneath them, Navy destroyers and littoral combat ships maintain air defense umbrellas, clear mines, and hold their expensive long-range missiles in reserve for truly high-end threats like Mach 3 cruise missiles or ballistic strikes. Before this integration, the Navy was burning through its vertical launch cells, firing premium interceptors at low-end targets and risking empty magazines when serious threats appeared. With the A-10s and Apaches handling the cheaper, more numerous threats for tens of thousands of dollars per kill instead of millions, the fleet can reserve its most advanced weapons for the kinds of targets they were actually designed to destroy. Iran's strategy in the Strait of Hormuz goes beyond the water and extends deep inland through a system built on 3 main elements: fast attack boat swarms, hidden minefields, and land-based cruise missiles stored in mountain tunnels. Mobile launchers move in and out of these tunnels, firing quickly before disappearing again. Along the coast and nearby islands like Kish, Larak, and Henu, underground shelters allow boats to emerge suddenly and reach shipping lanes within minutes. In response, U.S. forces target these nodes with airstrikes, using bombs to collapse tunnel entrances and destroy exposed equipment. However, air power has limits. Destroying entrances does not guarantee the weapons inside are eliminated, and many threats remain hidden. One of the more fascinating elements of this particular situation is the level of irony. Iran sought to use inexpensive, simple tools as a means of fighting against a powerful military. They assumed that the United States would use expensive tools, which they would eventually lose as they became obsolete. However, the United States adapted by using older, simpler tools, which were more effective for the war. The A-10, for example, is a powerful gun that is well designed, making it one of the more effective tools of the war. This particular situation highlights one of the more important lessons of modern warfare. While it is true that modern warfare is highly technological, it is not always the case. In the end, the most advanced military in the world didn't win with its newest weapons. It won by going back to its simplest ones. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the notification button so you don't miss the next update from us.